The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Training camp is upon us, and Rich Cimini, longtime Jets reporter for ESPN, is going to be joining us to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show on a Football Friday. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, here on a Friday before we say hello to Rich Cimini. Quick reminder that this show you're watching live on YouTube is available in audio form. We post the daily YouTube show as a podcast, wherever you get your podcast, either on Apple or Spotify. So spread the word. If you want Jets Talk on the go in audio form, you can check it out on both Apple and Spotify. With that said, let's say hello right now to longtime Jets beat reporter, Rich Cimini. Rich, always appreciate your time. Training camp getting underway for Aaron Glenn on Tuesday, and you covered Glenn as a player, so I have to imagine it's got to be a pretty surreal feeling that he's now the head coach and you're covering his first training camp beginning this week.
Yeah, it makes even me feel older than I am. So, a full circle moment. I did cover him. I remember his first day of mini camp in 1994. I remember when they drafted him. I think we were surprised. Everyone thought they were going to draft a wide receiver from Colorado, and then the Jets traded up and took Aaron Glenn. So, yeah, it is kind of cool. The fun part about it is, over the last few months since they hired him, is being able to reconnect with a lot of Glenn's former teammates, Jet alumni who have been reaching out, and I've been reaching out to them. And so that part has been pretty fun.
You wrote a great story that I want to get into, talking about basically what Aaron Glenn has to do to actually find success as the Jet coach. Before we cover that, though, let's talk about some news that happened earlier this week. The Jets reaching contract extensions with both Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Your thoughts on how this came together? What were you hearing behind the scenes? And now that the deals are out there and official, what do you make of both contracts?
Yeah, I think they're good for both parties, which is what you want in a contract. I thought it was a really proactive move by both, by the Jets to get this done so quickly after 3 years. We all know that's the first time that, former first round picks are eligible after their third year. It's the first time in franchise history, under this current financial system that they've re-upped with a former first rounder after 3 years. Now, I know that sounds like a dramatic statement, but to be quite honest, as we know, Jake, the Jets haven't had a lot of first rounders worth contract extensions. They did Quinn Williams a couple of years ago, but he had to wait until after 4 years to get that. So I thought it was a really good, aggressive, proactive move. I've seen the Sauce contract. It's a good deal for both sides. Sauce wanted to be the highest paid corner in APY, and he did. He just inched past Derek Stingley Jr. by a little bit at $30.1 million. His guarantees are less than Stingley, so I think that was a little bit of the give and take right there between both sides. And it's a flexible contract. If something went nuts, you don't never foresee this happening with a star player, but if they wanted to get out of the deal in a couple of years, they could without major salary cap implications. And they do lower his cap number by about $1 million this year. So that always helps. And I haven't seen the Garrett Wilson, like the specific contract yet, but I do believe, it's fairly similar. So good deal for both sides. When I left on vacation 3 weeks ago, I was very confident that the Sauce deal would get done before the start of training camp. That was what I was hearing through, reporting. Wasn't as confident about the Wilson one, but obviously they got that done. And so it eliminates a couple of potential distractions.
What do you make of the fact Wilson got done first? Because to your point, Sauce was publicly talking about they were making progress. He did some interviews. He spoke with fans at Fanatics Fest a couple of weeks ago about that. Garrett, I feel like we really didn't hear anything, and that ends up being the first deal that gets announced. Do you think that was intentional in any way? Your thoughts on just why Garrett's deal seemingly happened before Sauce?
Yeah, well, retrospectively talking to some people around Garrett's camp, they were working hard on that. So it didn't come together. I think they just did a better job of perhaps, concealing some of the details as we went on. But they had been working hard on that for a while. That wasn't like a bang, bang deal that just happened overnight. That was a gradual process. I thought it would take a little longer just because of the wide receiver market was a little less defined than cornerback. Cornerback, the Stingley contract earlier in the offseason kind of, set the ceiling there, and we knew where Sauce wanted to be, and everyone felt confident that he would get there to that rung just above Stingley. With Wilson, there was, I think he ends up fifth, right, in wide receiver, APY. So it was a little more muddled in the wide receiver market. And as for the timing of both deals, I mean, maybe that's just the way each side chose to do it. Maybe it was a little orchestrated, and doing it that way. Basically, they got done at the same time. I mean, now Garrett, his deal obviously was signed yesterday. Sauce has not officially signed his deal yet. I expect that to happen, maybe even today.
When it comes to Garrett Wilson now, obviously his first 3 years, he's dealt with all these different quarterbacks, poor play calling, everything that really can go wrong offensively. It has over his first 3 years. And there was a lot of talk about his unhappiness and whether or not he'd want out and request a trade. What do you think it says about Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, this new regime that they seemingly were able to get Garrett Wilson to buy back in, talk about being a Jet for life and actually want to be here seemingly long term now?
Right. I think a few things and those that was real at the end of last season. I think Garrett Wilson was unhappy with the situation. So I do think there was some legitimate questions about his future here, his long-term future. So a couple of things happens. Number one, you just mentioned, a new regime comes in. The first thing Aaron Glenn does, he calls Garrett Wilson and he says, "Hey, look, we want you. You're our guy. We're going to get you the ball a lot." That helps. That helps a wide receiver to hear that. Secondly, they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if Garrett Wilson will ever admit this publicly, but there was friction between the two of them. I mean, we saw it play out on the practice field last summer a couple of times. And I know fans were like, "Oh, that's just two guys being competitors." But it was more than that. They saw the game differently. They had a difference of opinion. I think that escalated throughout the year, and I'm not so sure Garrett Wilson would be back if Aaron Rodgers were back. Third, they brought in Justin Fields. His quarterback from college, had a great relationship, which has carried on through the years, and that was big. And lastly, and perhaps I buried the lead here, they said they wanted to extend his contract. So if someone says we're going to give you $130 million, that could change your attitude pretty quickly. So I think it was really a combination of all those things that Garrett wanted to hear, and they got their guy.
Rich, with Sauce, I think most Jet fans wanted that deal to get done, but there are definitely some out there that say he had a bad season last year, and I'd push back on that a little bit. It wasn't as good as his first two, but people are acting like Sauce Gardner was Tremaine Johnson last year for the Jets, which is crazy. But with Sauce's deal in particular, signing him early, do you get a sense that Glenn almost throws away what happened last year and kind of looks at his first 2 years more than anything with deciding, hey, let's make this guy the highest paid corner ever?
I was a little surprised. I mean, knowing Aaron Glenn and the way he was brought up in football, and of course I'm referring to Parcells and Sean Payton, sometimes guys want to wait a year when they come in. Like a new coach wants to get to know a guy for a year, and I think that probably even happened with Aaron Glenn, because when he came in 97, Parcells he wanted to see how he played, see if he fit into his system, into his culture. And then I think it was in 98 that Aaron Glenn ended up getting a monster deal. It wasn't until a year after playing with Parcells before he got that big deal. So part of me thought that the Jets might wait on Sauce just because of that reason. But I think they also looked at it from an economic standpoint and said, hey, look, this cornerback market is just going to get bigger and bigger. It's the last 12 months, it's kind of grown. It's increased. So I thought they felt like, let's get him locked down now because the cost is only going to go up. And it wasn't a great year for Sauce last year. I mean, he had 10 penalties, which was more than his combined total from the first 2 years. He didn't tackle well last year. You know, there's a lot of statistics out there about his missed tackle percentage. That needs to improve. But I think they felt really confident with the person and who he is. He's a good guy. He's never been in trouble. That's both guys. You know, they've never been in trouble off the field. You know, they're only 24, 25. Those are the kind of guys you want to invest in. So I think and it also sends a message to your locker room. You know, you're trying to change this culture. Like, hey, these are two guys that exemplify what we want to be. Let's show the rest of the locker room. Really, let's show the rest of the league that we want to build with these homegrown young guys as our future.
As you look ahead now, what or which players do you think could be extended next? Are we talking about anyone before the regular season, anything in season? We know about the guys going into the final years of their deals, but if you're kind of ranking, you know, the priorities for the Jets now going forward with extensions, where would you start?
Well, they have several guys going into their last year. Everyone wants to talk about Breece Hall and Jermaine Johnson. I would be surprised if either one of those got an extension before. I mean, Hall's going to be a free agent. I mean, at least in Jermaine's case, they have him under contract for 2 years after picking up the option. But Breece Hall's in an interesting situation. He's coming off a down year. Wasn't his best year last year. I know the offensive line was part of that, but, you know, he did have 6 fumbles last year, had some poor games by his own admission. And so now there's this talk of a backfield by committee. And so if I'm Breece Hall, I think I wouldn't even want it unless they blew me out of the water with a running back contract, which I don't think they would do. I think I would bet on myself if I were Breece Hall, play out this year and produce the way I know I can, and then my market value goes up. Now, they could always franchise him next year. That's a definite possibility. But I think I would be really surprised if he got an extension before the season started. And this, with Jermaine Johnson, it's the obvious reason. He's coming off a major injury, and I think he feels himself that, you know, I don't want to sign anything now. I want to have a good year, and then my market value will go up next year. So the other one I find curious is Quincy Williams, who, in my opinion, and I think you'd probably agree, Jake, he's outperformed the contract he signed a couple of years ago. What was it, 3 years, $18 million? So, I mean, he's an all-pro 2 years ago. Jeremy Fowler's rankings just came out. I had him listed here. What is he? He was the 10th best off-ball linebacker in the league. So I think he deserves an extension. I think had the previous regime still been in place, I think Joe Douglas would have signed Quincy to an extension. But now, you know, new regime comes in, so the timing stinks for Quincy Williams. So I think they'll probably end up waiting on that, although I think he would be very open to listening for a new extension.
How about a guy like John Simpson going into the last year of his deal? We know AVT's playing on the 5th-year option. They've invested so much in the O-line. I think if it goes well, you'd like to keep this group together as long as you can with continuity. Your thoughts on those two guards?
Yeah, I mean, AVT is making a nice chunk of change this year. I think it's $15 million guaranteed. Again, you know, I would be a little surprised they did something there just because it's the durability. You know, we know he can play. He's a good player. He's young. He's a good guy off the field. But, you know, he's had injuries. You know, he's had a couple of major injuries in his career. Well, the one major, the Achilles from a couple of years ago. And so you want to see that durability. And now you got big money invested in your 2 tackles. So you have to kind of make some tough decisions on that offensive line. He's a guy I certainly would want to keep. Now, Simpson, I would not be shocked if, you know, Simpson had a good year last year. I think he exceeded expectations. And, you know, he's a guy I think the Jets could be interested in re-upping with, you know, because I don't think he would break the bank. They could probably get him at a pretty good deal. Good guy, still young, and good, really kind of the leader on that offensive line now. So that one I would not be surprised if he got an extension.
He was a great signing by Joe Douglas, ironically. Like, the O-line actually was in a pretty good place. It took way too long. 2 years, $12 million was his contract. That'd be someone that I'd look to extend because I don't know if they're going to be able to pay AVT on top of all the other commitments they're now going to have down the line when you draft 2 tackles in the top 11 in back-to-back years. So I could see maybe, hey, we keep Simpson because it's a better bargain, and then we could probably find a right guard in the 2nd or 3rd round next year, worst case scenario, if we let AVT walk.
Yeah, you can't keep all 5 of those guys. Now, granted, the 2 tackles, we're talking a couple of years down the road before you have to pay either one of those guys. But we know the Jets have the cap room now. It's not a matter of cap room. Like I said earlier, Sauce, they saved $1 million, and I'm sure Garrett will be about the same. So they got over $30 million in cap room. It comes down to maybe cash flow. Does Woody Johnson want to throw out another big chunk of change, this year to another player? So if I were the GM, I would wait on ABT, because I want to see him play a full season and show what he can really be.
Jason Picker's watching the show. He sends in an AsmanJake super chat. He says, Shalom from Jerusalem. Would the signing of Jamie Sherwood lessen the likelihood that they double up at linebacker and extend Quincy Williams?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. 3 years, $45 million, 30 guaranteed for Jamie and Sherwood, which is a great contract for him. I thought that price came in higher than I thought for Sherwood. Aaron Glenn was just immediately smitten with Jamie and the kind of player he is and what kind of potential he has. So that, you don't want a linebacker, off-ball linebacker is not one of those, quote, premium positions. So you got to be careful on how much you want to invest there. Quincy Williams, I think, is a fantastic player, but he is getting up. How old is he going to be, 28 or 29?
I think he's 29 right now.
He's 29 right now. So, do you want to, this regime has been very cautious about spending
28.
money on players.
He turns 29. Sorry, Rich. He turns 29 on August 28th. So he'll be 29 when the regular season starts.
Right. So this is his age 29 year. And so that's a factor as well. But he's a good player. Like I said, I think Quincy is very open to signing a new deal, and it's just a matter of whether the new regime wants to do that right now. And so I wouldn't rule it out, but like I said, I think he's outperformed that contract. $6 million a year for a player of his caliber, that's a steal for the Jets.
We're talking with Rich Cimini, previewing Jets training camp. Big thank you again to Rich for hopping on. And how about we do a giveaway on a Football Friday? If you gift channel memberships or send in a $10 super chat or higher, we'll give away a signed Bart Scott jersey because we can't wait for Jets training camp next week. So gift away to be eligible, and a huge shout out to AD83 who joins the Asmaniac raffle at the end of the show for 5 by gifting 5 channel memberships earlier. Rich, I want to dive into the story you wrote that came out this week on ESPN.com. I'll put the headline up on the screen. A look at 4 keys to success for Jets coach Aaron Glenn. And in the story, you go through basically what a disaster the Jets have been and now what Aaron Glenn is walking into here. When you were trying to come up with the list, was it easy to put the 4 things together? Kind of give us the thought process on why you decided to write the story and the process of it all coming together.
Well, it was, I wrote it because it's a training camp preview. I think people are curious about Aaron Glenn and what kind of coach he's going to be. And I found, I kind of grouped 4. It could have listed probably 10 things there, but, I grouped it into 4. And basically, they were, he's going to try to make them a tougher team mentally and physically. They were a soft team last year. They were just a soft team mentally and physically. They didn't run the ball. They gave up too much on the ground on defense. They didn't they blew leads. And then the other reason, they were poor situationally. That's another one on my list. How many times did they self-destruct, with the game on the line with 2 minutes? I think there were 6 or 7 games where they had opportunities to win. They were just, I had our stats people look it up. I think 56% of the NFL games last year were decided by 1 possession. So these games come down to 1 possession. And that look at Kansas City in 1 possession games last year. Weren't they? They had an incredible record. They weren't they like at least 10-0 in 1 possession games? And the Jets were awful last year. I think they were 4-7 or something like that in 1 possession games. So Glenn will try to make them better situationally. The other one I had was more accountability. Last year, there was a complete lack of accountability in the locker room. And part of that was the coaching change. When you change coaches, things start to fray, everything starts to loosen up. And the Jets were very loose last year. They need to tighten that up. And the other one was just, like a validating moment, like Glenn. I think the team is buying into what he's selling, and that's great, and you would expect that to happen. But and I cited what happened with Bill Parcells, you can preach and tell him to do it, but you need that moment, and with Parcells, it was that first game. The older Jet fans will remember, they go out to Seattle, they're the underdog on the road, and they go out and they blow them out by 40 points on the road. And I remember talking to players after that game, it's like they believed in Parcells, but after that game, it was like they were completely compelled and blown away and sucked in by the whole Parcells mystique. It's like, wow, this guy's good and we can really do this. So I think Glenn needs to have that moment, that validation moment, and to make everything come together.
He could get that moment week 1 against Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, that is a huge early season test. Fan base is trying to believe that things are going to be different, and Glenn's dealing with the karma that is the same old Jets that kind of hovers over this franchise. I feel like that statement can be made week 1 if they look good against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, the villain is coming back to town, and, it's a great matchup. It's your new quarterback against your old quarterback, and you're right. I mean, Glenn is trying hard to change this culture. It can't happen. Like, you can have that one moment, but to change it completely, it's almost like an ongoing, it's a rolling effort to try to change the culture. It just can't happen overnight. And certainly a win over Pittsburgh would do wonders for just, his platform, that he's trying to instill here, his doctrine, the Glenn doctrine, if you will. And that would do wonders for sure.
When you look at just the expectation level now for this team, Rich, I mean, it feels like the Jets, after what transpired the last couple of years, they are truly going into a year where the expectations are as small as they've been in a while. What would look like success for Glenn in year 1? Does he have to have a winning season to do that? Is it you got to end the playoff drought? What would you look at this team and say, hey, if Glenn does this, that's a good year 1 for Aaron Glenn?
Well, if they end the playoff drought, he should be coach of the year.
Great.
I don't think they're quite. Yeah. I don't think he's quite ready. This team is not. I'd be surprised if they made the playoffs. I think it's a transition year. They'll be better than 5-12. I feel confident in saying that. They'll just be more organized. They'll be tougher. They'll be more physical. Like I said, they'll be better situationally. I just don't think they have the talent yet, to get them into that playoff conversation. I can see them getting off to a slow start this year, especially on offense with a new coordinator. He's never done it before. New system, new quarterback. Look at the schedule. I think the first 6 games they play 6 of the tougher pass defenses in the league from last year. So I could see them getting off to a pretty rough start, but I do see them rallying toward the end of the year. I could see this team finishing 7-10 with like winning 4 out of the last 5 games or something like that, which will create a nice little momentum boost into next year. So much of it hinges on Justin Fields. I mean, there's so many questions about him. He hasn't been a great passer. We know that in the league. He's got to improve a lot. I think the Jets have a plan to try to make him better. We'll see if it comes to fruition. They're very young on the coaching staff on the offensive side, with Tanner Engstrand, and, the O-line coach is new. The running back coach is new. So there's going to be some growing pains on offense.
You bring up Fields, and to me, like, that's just the biggest unknown, because first-time play caller, obviously Fields is on his 3rd team in 3 years. You have success stories like Sam Darnold and Geno Smith and obviously Baker Mayfield. But I find that the comments that Glenn and Engstrand and even Muji that they've said about Fields to be fascinating, where, Glenn is quoted as saying, we don't think he's been coached properly, essentially. Like, we don't think he's been allowed to play quarterback, which, without like trashing previous coaches, they're basically saying we don't think he's been given the right tools and opportunities to be an NFL quarterback. Like, they're very confident in them being like the organization that could turn Justin Fields into a franchise QB, which I find fascinating because there's no competition. They paid him. And even though, you look at the money, of course he's going to start. Glenn, I thought, would be all about competition, make Fields earn it, but it's been his job from the beginning. They're talking him up. What do you make of just how they've gone about trying to build up Justin Fields this offseason?
Yeah, they've really got out of their way to build him up. I mean, Aaron Glenn has been effusive in his praise of Justin Fields. I would agree with the Chicago part of his career. I mean, look, Chicago, much like the Jets, has been a quarterback graveyard. They haven't had a 4,000 passer in their history. At least the Jets had one with Namath. But the Chicago situation was extremely difficult for Justin Fields, just in terms of the talent around him, the constant changing of coordinators. He goes into a situation last year in Pittsburgh where he actually showed some marginal improvement as a passer. And I think Arthur Smith is a good coordinator. I think, Tomlin's obviously a very good coach. So I think that helped him last year. But I don't think they warmed to him. He was 4-2. He started 4-2. And they went right back to Russell Wilson. As soon as Russell Wilson's calf injury was healed, they went right back to Wilson. And I think that tells you a little bit about Mike Tomlin's thinking towards Justin Fields. So the Jets, I think they're going to be a run-heavy team. I think they're going to rely on play action a lot. That's where Justin Fields, his passing yards are going to, I think, have to come in play action. So they need to run the ball just to try to create that downfield space, for him. Because I don't think he's the most accurate thrower. I don't think he's a guy who moves from his progressions 1, 2, 3 that well. That's always been, he holds the ball too long. We saw it in OTAs in the spring. He was a guy who was holding the ball a little bit too long. So they're trying to coach that out of him and get him to go boom, boom, boom. And we'll see. We'll learn a little bit more in training camp.
I want to ask you about the wide receivers that Fields is going to be throwing to. You wrote a story a couple of weeks ago that Josh Reynolds had a good OTAs minicamp, clear-cut, number 2 receiver. And on one hand, great, happy he's playing well. On the other, the fact that it's so clear-cut that Josh Reynolds on a 1-year deal for less than $3 million is like clearly the number 2. I'm very concerned about just that room in general. I know you have Garrett Wilson, but God forbid he sprains an ankle and has to miss a couple of weeks. They could be in trouble there. Your thoughts on this offense, the wide receiver room, and then how involved is Mason Taylor going to be, assuming he's signed, and Breece out of the backfield? Just their thought process going into camp with the state of the pass catchers right now.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a number 2 option. I'm not sure he's on, and I'm not counting the running backs. I mean, obviously Breece Hall can catch the ball. Yeah, it's a concern. I'm with you, Jake. Josh Reynolds is not really a number 2 receiver on most teams. He's probably a 3 or a 4, but he knows this offense already, having played in Detroit, so that gives him a little leg up on Lazard. Lazard is not a number 2 receiver. We know that. I mean, he could be a reliable number 3 or number 4. So basically what I'm saying is the Jets really don't have a number 2. I think there'll be times this year where Garrett Wilson is really frustrated because teams are going to roll their coverage to his side of the field. And the Jets are going to have to do things to try to change that. I think you could see Wilson moving around the formation more this year, perhaps even in some motion to try to get him freed up. They're going to, the previous coaching staff, I thought, could have done a better job of moving him around and trying to get him freed up a little bit. So I think these guys will try that. If I were a Jet fan, I'd be really concerned because Arian Smith, they drafted him. I thought that was a reach in the 4th round. And that's not just me. I mean, that's talking to scouts around the league. I think he'll be a guy who will be, obviously he's going to be on the 53, but probably their 6th or 7th receiver. I don't know if he's going to see action. I don't know if he'll dress in the early part of the year. Malachi Corley is an interesting guy. I think his scholarship is up. I think the previous coaching staff was running out of patience with him, and he's got to come in with a more mature approach this year. He's got to get healthy. He missed pretty much the whole spring, and I think he'll be healthy for training camp, but he's got to come in with a better attitude, and he's got to be a better route runner for this team. And so, Gibson, he's just a guy, I think he has value as a return guy. So it is an issue for sure.
What's the latest with Mason Taylor's contract situation? We've seen this around the league, 2nd-round picks not signing. There were a couple more that happened in the last 48 hours. Do you think when the Jets report to camp on Tuesday, Mason Taylor will be signed?
I do. I'd be surprised if he's not. I mean, now you're starting to see a trickle of these second rounders, come in. And for those who are not familiar with it, the first two guys in the second round got fully guaranteed deals, which had never happened before. So right away, all the other agents are like, well, if they got it, then I want to get that for my guy. And so Alfred Collins signed a couple of nights ago. He was drafted one spot right after Mason Taylor. And I believe I think 80% of his deal was fully guaranteed. So now, now the slotting process takes place. So I suspect Mason Taylor will come in slightly above that. He'll probably get, about 80% of his deal guaranteed. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened today. I certainly think I'd be really surprised if he's not there on Tuesday.
We're talking with Rich Cimini. If you got a question, write it in before we say goodbye to Rich. Jason wants to know, is the Jets' current kicker and punter on their roster?
Maybe not. That's another, we don't talk about that much because it's, special teams doesn't get that much coverage. But it's a major issue. They signed Harrison Mevis, the thicker kicker, which I think is one of the great nicknames in college football when he was playing there at Missouri. He had a great year, in the XFL, but I mean, none of these guys have kicked in the NFL. I mean, the two punters on the roster, the two kickers on the roster. So this is like a total
what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? So the answer to the question for Jason is maybe not. They could easily have a new punter and new kicker on the roster by opening day. I mean, those are interchangeable. And so absolutely, I could see that happening. I don't know if this has ever happened before. I should have our research department look it up. To have, a kicker and a punter with absolutely no experience it might be unprecedented. I'm not sure. I haven't.
And the
really
special teams coordinator has never been a special teams coordinator in the NFL. Banjo's
really
first
young
year.
guy. They have Chris Banjo, who is a very impressive guy, just in terms of the way he commands a room and the way we spoke to him in some press conferences. He could be playing, actually. He's young enough to still be playing in the league. He's Mike Westhoff, who, by the way, will be in camp early on. He's coming up for a few days. Westy couldn't stay away. Westy loves Chris Banjo. He recommended him highly to Aaron Glenn. And Aaron Glenn, of course, has known Banjo for a while, going back to New Orleans. And so it's young across the boards in special teams. So you could see some growing pains there as well.
Sam wants to know, thank you for the super chat, Sam, how is the scouting and player development different in this new regime?
Well, I think that's an interesting question. It's kind of an evolving question right now. I think you saw some of that in the offseason, just with they didn't sign anybody over 30, and it was a concentrated effort to get younger. They had one of the older teams in the league last year. Now they have one of the younger teams. We've already seen a couple of the guys retire from, Mike Williams just retired yesterday, 2 days ago. And then, Tyron Smith retired. These were two guys that the Jets were really relying on last year. So I think thinking younger, I think Aaron Glenn, in fact, I asked him this early in the offseason. He learned this from Jeff Ireland, the assistant GM in New Orleans, is that you can't be afraid to play younger players. And so I think he's kind of, adopted that into his philosophy. And so that's one area in terms of scouting that that jumped out at me. In terms of the player development, we'll just have to wait and see in the way they construct this roster going forward.
A couple fun ones for you, Rich. So you obviously covered Aaron Glenn when he was a player. You talked about that multiple times, including at the beginning of the show. But what is your favorite memory during your time covering Glenn as a player? It could be an interaction, could be a specific game you were covering, just your favorite Glenn as a player memory when you think back to that time.
I can think of three things, two on the field, one off the field. I remember was it a 100-yard return against the Colts? It was on the missed field goal.
Yeah.
And it was just such an amazing, dazzling run that it was like, wow. I mean, that was just, I think it was in the 98 season. Of course, I remember the fake spike play because it was Aaron Glenn who was the victim on that play when Marino pulled off that, trickeration and threw it to Ingram for the touchdown. And I know Jet fans, that was just one of the worst plays in Jet history. And Aaron Glenn was the rookie corner. And I actually spoke to him about that. I did a 20-year anniversary of the fake spikes, so I talked to him several years ago. He was in Cleveland at the time as an assistant coach, and he was very open about it. And I remember he handled it well as a rookie as well. And he admitted, they got me. He goes, I just hesitated for just the slightest bit, and they ran that play, and they got me. And he goes, but right after that, he said, I went on the sideline and I told Victor Green, I'm going to get Marino back someday. And sure enough, I think it was a year or two later, he got that 100-yard interception return against Marino. So he did get him back. And lastly, my off-the-field memory, he did a visit to a local school on Long Island. He visited kids and spoke to kids. I think it was during the 98 season. And I went to it and I listened to it. And I was really impressed by just the maturity and the way he handled himself dealing with a whole bunch of school kids on Long Island. And I saw him in a different atmosphere. He was always mature beyond his years, even as a rookie coming in. You never saw that wide. The only time he was a little wide-eyed was when they told him his locker was going to be right next to Ronnie Lott's. I think for a second he was like, whoa, this is one of the guys I idolized. And so those are just some snapshot memories of Aaron Glenn.
It's interesting because Glenn has taken a completely different approach at these press conferences, media availabilities, than his predecessor, Robert Saleh, did. And a lot of times when he's going back and forth with you or other reporters, people are like, oh, he hates the media. But to me, Rich, that's just how he is. If you go back and watch his press conferences with the Lions, that's how he's always been. And he knows you in particular. So you have that relationship with him. What do you make of the way he's handled his press conferences and that idea that, oh, he's so combative with you guys in the media?
Yeah, I would say he's aggressive in press conferences. He's clearly not going to. Saleh was so laid back and so media friendly. I think maybe the only time Saleh got pissed off, I think I pissed him off after the Cleveland game when I asked him a question and he stormed off. I think that was the only time that, Saleh really showed any anger. And, the PS to that is we talked on the phone the next day. We had a really good conversation and cleared the air. I don't know if people know that, but with Aaron, he's got that Parcells in him, he'll bite back. If he doesn't like a question or if he's trying to, emphasize a point, he does get a little combative. And I don't think it's an act. I think that's just his personality. He comes up there. And I think part of it is he's trying to keep the media at an arm's length. He's trying to set a tone. He's trying to set a culture. I think part of it is orchestrated, but I think it's with his personality. The one warning I would say is, you can't be too much of a combative guy and a tough guy if you haven't done anything. Like Parcells could get away with it. Belichick could get away with it because they had the sheepskins on the wall. They had the wins, the championships. So it's a delicate balance. You don't want to be a pushover for the media, but you also don't want to come on so strong that you alienate the media. So it's a fine line that you have to walk as a first-year head coach.
In your career covering the Jets, Rich, what is the best off-the-record conversation you had with a coach or a player? You don't have to out anyone on the team now, but you've told some great stories on this show in the past about your relationship with Belichick when he was with the Jets and how with Parcells, Belichick would actually bring you in and you'd watch some film with him ahead of a big game or two. Stuff like that. What is something that Jet fans maybe don't know about an interaction you had with a great player, great coach back in the day?
Well, I could go on forever on that stuff. Hopefully someday soon that might be in a book, but we'll see.
You have to come back on here to promote the book then.
Yeah. So we're working on it. We're getting there. Belichick, I had a good relationship with. He drew plays for me every week so I could put it in the newspaper. And so we had this clandestine relationship to try to avoid the wrath of Parcells, because in those days, assistant coaches weren't allowed to talk to. That was like a league-wide, there was no rule that made it mandatory to talk to media like it is now. But I had some conversations with Parcells off to the behind closed doors that weren't always pleasant. He would read me. One time I got him in trouble for he wouldn't let us in the locker room after a game. It was in Nashville at that old crappy stadium where they played one year at Vanderbilt, if you may recall. I think it was 98. And he wouldn't let us in the locker room because he felt the locker room was too small. But it was a violation of the league rules. And I alerted the league, and he got fined $10,000. And I don't know what your policy is on cursing or anything, but I'll leave it out. But let's just put it, there were a lot of expletives directed in my direction in a back hallway conversation with Parcells, who assured me that that money was coming out of his pocket. And so I cost Parcells $10,000, and we talked it through. And, I told him, but you broke the rules. And he said, well, yeah, I know I did. He goes, but you actually benefited from it. And I'm like, well, how do you figure that? And then he recited to me how many players I quoted in my game story off that game as compared to previous game stories where I had full locker room access. So he said I had a better access. Oh, well, whatever. But I found it interesting that he actually knew that. He was reading my stories more closely than I did. But but I have a great relationship with Bill. I talked to him a few months ago when Aaron got signed. But a lot of players, a lot of coaches, some stuff I can't say just because of the sensitive nature. But just some great conversations off the record, with players. Some not so great conversations, but.
Other than Parcells, then which coach or player was ever the angriest at you for something you said or something that you wrote in print?
Well, I mean, like I had a very interesting relationship with Adam Gase, because like we got along great, like when he was the coach, and I mean, just like a lot of communication with him. He was interested. I think he really took an interest in helping us do our jobs, and I appreciated that. And I know Jet fans don't like Adam Gase. He was behind the scenes. He was actually a really good guy, a funny guy, a good storyteller. He called me after some games. Like I'd be driving home from New Jersey, and a couple of times he called me and we would just talk on the phone for a while, just rehashing the game. He was explaining decisions, but then I wrote something after he was fired and he didn't like it. And now I think it's pretty much crickets. That relationship has gone south. There's no communication. But at one point we had some really good talks and good texting exchanges after games. And I appreciated his willingness to try to help me do my job.
Rich, I'm going to let you go because there is some breaking Jet news. So I'm sure you got to write about it. Mason Taylor has officially signed his contract with the Jets. I'm seeing here Cameron Wolf reporting. It is a 4-year, $10.46 million deal, 91.3% of the deal guaranteed, so $9.56 million, according to his agent, Sammy Spina. So he gets 60% of the year 4 salary guaranteed, a 55% increase from slot number 42 last year. So Mason Taylor will be ready to roll for camp.
Yeah, so like I said, I thought that was going to happen once the Alfred Collins deal got done. It was only a matter of time before Mason Taylor got his done. So, and they're reporting tomorrow. So there you go, 4-year, 10.6. So that's 90. He got a little more. I thought it would be about 80%. So he got 91% of it guaranteed. So basically, that's the first 3 years, and then probably a few $100,000 in his 4th year guaranteed. So that's 60% of his year 4 guarantee. Yeah, so that's a really good contract for him. Someday soon, maybe next year, I think all 2nd round picks are going to probably get guaranteed contracts.
Rich, really appreciate you hopping on. We got some breaking news as well. So football season is actually finally starting to feel real with training camp now just days away.
Yeah, it's good catching up with you, Jake. Anytime you're out there at Jet Camp, give me a holler. I'll be out there.
Looking forward to it. He's Rich Cimini of ESPN. Appreciate Rich, as always, for joining us. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. You can also check him out, of course, on ESPN.com. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. So that's great news, of course, about Mason Taylor. And I don't think any Jet fans seriously thought they wouldn't get something done. But this is a guy that is supposed to play a very important role in their offense. They used the 42nd pick in the draft on him. Obviously, tight end was a major need. And if this team's going to be better than most think, you'd imagine Mason Taylor playing a big role could be a part of that. No one's saying he's got to be Sam Laporta in year 1, or I won't even go down the Brock Bowers path, but Mason Taylor is a good football player that helps the Jets. And I think he's going to be a good football player. Sometimes it takes a little time with tight ends, but you don't use a pick this high on a tight end if you don't think he can help you run away. So glad that they got this done. All the draft picks are signed. And now with Sauce locked up, Garrett locked up, the focus could all be about ball. Like, I think this is a great thing for the Jets. Now, would it be the biggest thing in the world if Mason Taylor missed a couple days? No, but, rookies are reporting this weekend before the veterans. You want them there. Simple as that. You want them there. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. We're giving away a signed Bart Scott jersey at the end of the show. Can't wait for training camp. So we're doing a Bart Scott giveaway at the end. The Austrian Jet fan, he wants international shipping, baby. 10 gifted memberships. He's in the AsmanJake raffle for 10. Let's go. Shout out to Mike Dems, who gifted a membership as well. I apologize to Dominic. I'm going to give you a raffle ticket here for this because we didn't get a chance to ask your question to Rich because there was some breaking news there, so I don't want to keep Rich too long with him obviously having to go right about the Mason Taylor contract that just got done. Six Rings tried to knock me off the air. I'm back. I don't know what happened there, but I think I'm back. Anyway, Dominic, I'm going to give you a raffle ticket for this. Charlie wrote in, I heard Rich is a baller on the softball field. I might have to ask Rich about that next time he's on the show. And NY Jets Florida wrote in, I dated Sachem High School girls, Rich. I believe Rich is, I'm assuming, from Sachem High School in Long Island then? That's an interesting comment there, Ted. Thank you for that one. Sean writes in with an AsmanJake super chat. And once again, let's load up your calls on the Gus Buster hotline, too. I pinned the link, so I will repost it again. And we got the Azzy Awards to get into this morning on the show as well. I watched all the highlights of Fields, Garrett, and Brees. If we clean up mistakes and the O-line is solid, we could compete. Sip the Kool-Aid. I don't think anyone doubts the Jets can compete. They competed last year. They sucked last year because they were horrible in so many low or one-scoring games, right? They were 5-12. They were 3-7 on one-score games. They lost 5 games in which they had the ball in the final 2 minutes with a chance to take the lead. They also lost multiple games where they had the lead late and then the defense blew it. So it was really situationally on both sides of the ball. They were outscored 26-10 in the final 2 minutes of regulation and overtime. Coaching. The coaching is good, Sean. There's talent on this team to compete. The question is there enough talent on this team to actually make the postseason? I have my doubts. But it could happen. We certainly do. Devin has gifted 1 channel membership. He is now in our Bart Scott signed jersey raffle at the end of the show with 1 raffle ticket. Comments, questions, your super chats will cut the line. Let's get into the Azzy Awards, folks, because, man, this has been so much fun so far. Thank you again to Boomtown and the committee for coming up with all these different categories for us to vote on to kind of bridge this gap between nothing happening and the start of training camp and preseason. So we have 24 total awards if you're just tuning into the show this week. We started earlier in the week. Every show from now until the end, we vote on a new award in a YouTube poll. And today, the Best Takes Azzy Award will be decided. So your votes matter, folks. Check the YouTube poll because the Azzy Awards are officially live.
It's time for the Azzy Awards. Gotta get through Jets off season. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? These AsmanJake callers are legends. It's up to the chat. It's your time to vote. You gotta decide who's better. AsmanJake Tribe, the Jake Asman Show. That's why we gotta have these Azzy Awards.
Vote, vote, vote. Best takes. I mean, all 4 of these nominees are certainly deserving. Also, an honorable mention in this category was the big fella, who always has some outstanding takes as well. On the afternoon show today, this could get heated. Worst takes. And our guest is one of the people in the category here. BMAC, Frankie V, the guest that people seem to hate on. Gary and JJ, those are your nominees. So, vote, vote, vote for best takes now, and vote for the worst takes in the afternoon. Robbie Sabo from Jets X Factor will be my guest on this Friday afternoon program here. Comments, questions, super chats. Let's see. right, we're all caught up. So phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline. Click it, join the show, earn a raffle ticket, your chance to win a Bart Scott jersey at the end of the show. Let's say hello right now to Kyle Clifton.
Good morning, Jake.
Inside. There it is.
I'm on vacation now, Nick.
Love it.
I had forgotten where we were in the Azzy Awards, and then I went down to look in my T-shirt drawer this morning, and I saw Best there, so I figured I'd pull this out.
Well done.
A
Well
little
done.
synergy going on. So it was very interesting to hear Rich talk about, the causality between, Garrett staying and Rodgers leaving, and the possibility that, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. If you don't think that you can win with Rodgers this year, the whole thing, then you don't keep Rodgers, because your plan is likely to keep Garrett for this year and beyond. So it kind of made a lot of sense when you think about it in that way. It was always going to be tough for them to start their program with an established veteran quarterback. I just hope that they had a heart-to-heart with Garrett about the things he could do better, because there are whispers that he's kind of a freelancer in the route running and stuff like that. Maybe he could use a little bit more discipline, and he's kind of spoiled by his physical gifts. It'll be interesting to see if he can take that leap with a quarterback that he's familiar with this year. I was saying on in Boy Green's chat this morning that my feeling with Rich is, maybe he's been in the job too long, and when someone's there for 35 plus years, things can get a little stale. But you can't really argue with some of the stories that he was telling about, Belichick and so on. So it was very entertaining.
Well, those are cool stories. That's why I'd love to do. Maybe we'll have to wait till like next off season or something. But or if he's writing a book, it'd be the best time to do it when he's promoting it. But like I'd love just like a full episode of just like the craziest things he's covered being on the Jets beat for 35 years, because he has probably so many stories he's saving for that book that he won't share yet, but eventually he will, and they'll be highly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I know I don't have an argument with the quality of reporter he is, with the quality of person he is, but I'm kind of like the same way I am with politicians. Like, I feel like the diapers that should be changed frequently type thing. Now that we've got Mason Taylor in the fold, we can just pivot to trying to trade for Shamar Stewart, and since the Bengals can't seem to get their act together.
I'll take him.
Yeah.
Honestly, he'd be great for the Jets, because he's a developmental guy that wouldn't be thrown out there to have to play right away. He basically would get the Will McDonald treatment for a year, or the Jermaine Johnson treatment for a year.
And the physical gifts are undeniable. And then there's that he's an A&M guy, right? So
that's right.
Got that rapport. So I appreciate your time as ever, Jake.
Kyle, good luck in the best takes, win or lose. We value everything you add to this program.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Kyle Clifton checking in there. So you guys have been hearing me talk about it the last couple of days. We have a training camp meetup that's officially scheduled. We're going to be at Chef Kevin's restaurant. We're going to be at the Cloverleaf Tavern on August 2nd. That's the day of the Jets green and white scrimmage. The scrimmage is in the morning. We're going to be hanging out from 2 to 4:30 later that day. Once the scrimmage is over, Chef Kevin preparing a Jake Asman themed food and beverage menu. It's going to be an awesome time. We'll be in the private party room at the Cloverleaf Tavern, but we might have so many people, we might have to just take over the entire place at this rate, because the Asmaniacs are rolling deep. And ladies and gentlemen, Chef Kevin is currently nominated right now for the Best Takes Azzy, and he's on the line to talk about that, and who knows? What's up, Chef Kev?
Hey, Jake, man, what's up, dude?
How we feeling, man?
Hey, man, I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. Thanks, for it was very easy working with you. A lot of stuff behind the scenes but we got the stuff together, man. There's a lot in store, man. Like with the meetup that we have going on, like after the green and white scrimmage, like last year's green and white scrimmage was awesome. We got to walk in with Nick Shine. We all rode the bus in, had the good time, good vibes, Rogers, the whole nine. Like it was just an awesome time, man. And then now to know, we're gonna do it again this year, new regime, like, just a fresh page, man, to this whole chapter of us, man, to then, enjoy and have a good time. Cause I'm my birthday's August 1st, man. So August 2nd, it almost feels like, we still celebrating. And August, the first week in August is always beautiful. So we could count, man. We could bank on it being beautiful outside, and then we'll head over to the Cloverleaf right after, where we're gonna have like just an amazing time, man. We have the A-list Asmaniacs, like they'll be in the building. We got a lot of heavy hitters that are coming, man. Like that list is gonna be epic. And you're right, man. Like with the amount of space that we have, like we got more space here, but the if y'all didn't sign up yet, hurry up, because once that room is booked, man, like that's kind of it. You might be able to peek in and check what's going on, but you might have a seat a little further away from us. It's going to be a great time. We have the brewery. Other half is well known, one of the best breweries in the country at the moment, man. And they're going to be coming here, giving us some rare kegs and whatnot. We got the swag and all. They're going to be a brewery rep too from other half. It's going to be a great time, man. So I definitely appreciate you picking us, man, to do this event. Is going to be a great time for the listeners, the Asmaniacs, the whole nine. Much appreciated. Thank you for having Rich Cimini on, man, for him share his stories and all that. I always find it interesting, man, especially with reporters such as a G and a legend as Rich. He's been doing it for so long, man, with the Jets. Just the amount of stories that it has is great, whether you like his stuff or not, man. He's in the building, man. And to be able to manage all these different types of personalities, with the players, with the management staff and all, like it's a delicate line of not like disrespecting anybody, but still being able to do your job. It's just like a tough thing to do for us consistently, as he's been doing it for most of the time. Like for the quality of product that's been on the field, it hasn't been great. So it's kind of hard to like really dress the stuff up nice for the audience. He got to keep it real. Some of the stuff isn't the greatest, but with some of the stuff where it could rub people the wrong way. But for the most part, man, I'm a fan of Cimini. I do like his stuff. Being with ESPN and all that, seeing the stuff behind the scenes is really cool and insightful. So thank you for having him on. For Kyle Clifton, man, was such a great dude, man, with his takes and all that. That Keith Best shirt, man, that brought a little tear to my eye, man. Like I have my Keith Best shirt as well. I wore that for the opener last year when we played the Patriots. We was all in L5, and just with the spirit of Keith, man, he's such a good dude. We're definitely thinking about him. It was good to see you, Clifton, with that, man. And then just if you don't mind, Jake, just a quick shout out for Nate, man, because we're all in this right now. Like Nate, I remember him last year coming on the scene and just being consistent with his takes and all that. He's on the bike, just being able to maneuver around New York City and Manhattan and still give his takes while riding, and avoiding people and whatnot, and still being able to interact with you, Jake. Sometimes you had your little heated back and forth and all that, which is like, was entertaining. Both of you guys are really intelligent cats. So, that was really good. And then for Ricky, man, he's a OG, man, a legend in this. Like he's been calling before I have, and just his takes, his time, his presence, his knowledge, man, just being just glued in and locked in, and knowing that he's not here in Jersey and New York like the rest of us, where it's easy for him to go to these games. And for me, like if I wasn't around here, it would be like a little difficult for me, like not being able to go to games, not to be around a whole bunch of Jet fans. But knowing about Ricky, where he's at, man, like he's still plugged in, man, and still giving his take. So I salute all of them. It's cool, dude, that we have Mason Taylor, man, locked up, man. I'm happy. I'm happy with that, man. Could it be a little pricey? It's kind of what it is. But at this point, we drafted him in the second round. Anybody in the second round, it's going to cost a little bit of paper. So, now it's just seeing the production, making sure that we're in the right scheme. You gotta be able to produce on the field, and it's definitely putting more pressure on the Long Island native Rucker, like to kind of step up and give us a little bit more production and everything like that. But I appreciate everything you do, Jake. Thanks again for everything. See you soon, man.
Can't wait for August 2nd. RSVP in the description for the video. Patreon and Discord users had priority access, so about half the spots were filled up like within 18 hours, which is crazy. We have 60 initial spots in the party room. And you heard Chef Kevin say, might need to open up more spaces, but if you want a guaranteed spot where the action is, come on down, baby. Cloverleaf Tavern. It's about 30 minutes from the Jets practice facility at One Jets Drive in Florham Park. So I'll be at the green and white scrimmage in the morning, and I'll be at the Cloverleaf Tavern in the afternoon. Connie Carberg, the legend herself, will be joining us at the Cloverleaf Tavern. I was talking with Connie yesterday. Can't wait. Ricky NY says, best takes means the most to me. Please vote for me today. Smoke and debate. Ricky NY pleading for the votes. Addison says, vote for Nate or we'll miss the playoffs again this season. Well, Addison, doesn't sound like people believe you because Nate right now, 18% of the vote. Kyle Clifton running away with this thing. Wow, 49%. That just shows you consistency and great takes is what it's going to take. Kyle Clifton, basically a regular on most shows, and that helps. Let's see. Black Gypsy says, Cimini said it. Fields fans, y'all need to relax with the he's good takes. If we are lucky, we'll break the QB rushing record and help play action game. He's talented, Black Gypsy. We understand he's been a limited passer. He has improved in that regard, though. He's not the same passer he was at the beginning of his career. He's gotten better. Now, that doesn't mean that I expect it to be great as a passer. I expect the Jets to coach around some of his deficiencies there and rely on what he does do well. His running, his play action, his deep ball. This team should be leading the NFL in rushing attempts and ideally rushing yards. I need Brees to stay healthy and have a big year. I need Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis to warrant some of the hype some of the fan base are already giving them. Nate says, no biking takes award is kind of BS. Ladies and gentlemen, the nominees for best biking takes. Nate, parentheses Nate. And the winner for Best Biking Takes Award, the Azzy goes to... You guessed it, Nate, parentheses Nate. Congrats, Nate, you did it. Black Gypsy with a super chat. Put me in for 2 entries, Jake. I want that Scott jersey. I'll tell you what. The rule is $10 super chats is the threshold, right? Because we want to encourage people to gift instead of super chat when possible, so the community benefits, right? You get a channel membership. Everyone has a free super chat every month. You get members-only content, the badge next to your name, priority response in the comments, all that. But you already had another $5 super chat, so that counts in my book, Black Gypsy. You're in for 2. Bang! Ladies and gentlemen, Green Gang is in for 5. He wants a chance at a signed and authenticated Bart Scott jersey at the end of the show.
It's the AsmanJake membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Green Gang in for 5. Speaking of epic prizes, tomorrow, Bill Parcells signed helmet, we give that away. Aaron Glenn signed helmet, we give that away. And signed Rex Ryan photo, we give that one away. So, be on the lookout. This afternoon, we might do a membership boost. +2. Give more people a chance to win. Maybe I'll give away another signed jersey. Maybe it happens to be a signed jersey of a Jets player who might have signed a big contract this week. Just saying. You have to find out this afternoon. All right, I got open phone lines. Legitimately, no one is on the line right now. Besides Beastbreaker, but after yesterday's debacle, I don't know if we want to go back down that well. I think we might want to just let cooler heads prevail for a morning. Who am I kidding? I can't stay away.
You know what time it is? A Beastbreaker 666. I'm gonna take my fist and shove it up your ass, and then he gotta go.
Beast, you awake? Beast? Beast. Beast. Are you awake, Beast? I think I see a blob on his bed there. Can't tell, though. I'm going to have to wake him up. Folks, if you have headphones in, this is your warning to lower the volume because what I'm about to do is necessary. All right? I'm going to give everyone 5 more seconds. Adjust your volume. Your ears are about to be cranked, but it's a necessary thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given enough time. Sound the alarm. Wake up!
What's up? What's going on? Oh, wow, was I on planet Mars? Wow. Boy, what a planet. What a red, beautiful planet. Nice planet, but I don't feel like I want to go on a spaceship right now. Oh, what a space ride. Oh. Oh, there we go. Now we're up. First. Ooh. There. That'll wake me up. Oh. Thank you for waking me up. I took a long, long nap. Ah. How you doing there, Chief? How you doing? Hello? That just done it.
And he's gone just like that. We'll see you later, Beast. I can't believe that worked. That was great. It worked. Ladies and gentlemen, Bo C is in the house. He says, I want a signed Bart Scott jersey. Bo C, we know what he knows. Bo C knows what?
Bo knows football. Bo knows baseball. Bo knows tennis. Bo knows basketball, too.
Bo knows channel memberships.
That he does. He's in the raffle for 10, and Bo usually wins when he's in. So good luck to everyone else. Bo, 10 gifted memberships. They went to the following listeners. John, Paul Taxter, Beast, get off your fat ass. Michael Levinson, Ross, Beast, you're not retired. You're a bum. Sean Sharp, Sharon McLean, Ulysses Gonzalez, KG, Eddie Lindahl, Michael Caslin, all receiving channel memberships from the great Bo C. Bo, thank you for gifting. Phantom Green and White has gifted a channel membership. Thank you very much, Mr. Green and White. Bronx Boy 90 is the recipient of the channel membership. Ladies and gentlemen, super chat from Daz across the pond. Can't wait to win that Bart Scott jersey. Tell the fat one that his next song is nearly ready. I'm assuming that's Beast. Well, I'm sure Beast is out there listening. So, Daz, he has received your message. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. John Williams says, I want that Bart Scott jersey. Can't wait. I'll tell you what. Probably should have showed it off earlier. If you win, I'll get it sent out to you maybe today. All right, I got it right here. I got it ready to roll. What you see on the screen is what is in my hand right here. So if you want a Bart Scott jersey, you got to be in it to win it, folks. And if you don't win, you're in our raffle tomorrow for the following 3 items. Signed Rex Ryan photo, signed Aaron Glenn helmet, signed Bill Parcells helmet. Rich told some great Bill Parcells stories when he was on with us for the first 45 minutes of the show. In honor of Bart Scott's famous can't wait moment in Jet history. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to that moment because to me, it is without question the greatest day in my life. January 16th, 2011. It was a day unlike any other day. I actually, you know what? Now StreamYard is giving me an issue where I can't even change slides. Can't even go between folders. And by the way, StreamYard wants me, my membership for them is up on July 27th. I'm just going to air it all out publicly because they're a disgrace. And I'm looking for a different streaming provider. They want $830 of my money for the year for this shit product. Are you out of your mind? So we will be migrating the show at some point in the near future because I've had enough. I can't even change and play clips now. Unbelievable. Just ridiculous. I'm going to do a quick browser refresh here. So I am going to leave the show shortly because I literally cannot play anything. I'm hoping this will play when I do that. If not, I'll be back in 30 seconds. Then we got some people on hold for more of your calls. Our first watch party of the year, the Jets and the Giants. We're headed back to T Squared Social, August 16th. It is a 7 p.m. kickoff. 6:30, the party will start. All right, I'm back. Hopefully, it will let me transition. It did. All right, now I can play this. Can't wait.
To all the non-believers. How did that? To all the non-believers. Anybody can be beat. We're pissed off. People gave us no chance, like we barely made it in playoffs. We're a good football team. For all you non-believers, disrespect us, talk crap about the defense like we ain't the third best defense in the league. All we hear is about their defense. They can't stop a nosebleed. 25th in the league, and we the one to get disrespected.
Congratulations. See you in Pittsburgh.
Can't wait.
Hell yeah. That giveaway at the end of the show. Speaking of which, Patreon, if you join for the year, you get 10 raffle tickets. So if you want a chance to win any of the items you heard me showing off, the Parcells helmet, Glenn helmet, Rex photo, join for the year, you get 10 tickets. And I'll tell you what, if you do it during the show, I'll put you in for 10 for the Bart Scott jersey. So you probably have a great chance to win that because there's less people in that than obviously the weekly ones. So little incentive for anyone who wants to get on the Patreon. You get your Discord access, name in the intro. You get access to exclusive events. 20% off every item in my merch store, which is approaching the 1-year anniversary this weekend. Pretty cool. Big Country in the house. Hey, Beast, how was your date yesterday? I didn't get to listen to the whole show. I had to go to my kid's softball game. Well, Beast wouldn't tell us the details of the date. He just said it didn't happen. We believe it might have been a man on the other end of the date, but we don't know. He wouldn't tell us. Maybe Beast will share more information. I could try and ask him. But no promises, Big Country. But I am known to be an investigator, so I will look into it for you, ladies and gentlemen. Rejoining the show right now is...
Would you silence, or should I do one of these?
Beast, how'd the date go? Beast? 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 We're on the air, Beast. How long can this go? We're just going to go inside the mind of the Beast. Beast? Beast? Beast Breaker.
I was just checking my homework. And fat? I don't think so.
How did your date go yesterday?
This ain't no fat.
Okay.
This is all goddamn muscle right here. All muscle. Anyone who puts on fat, you must be ass backwards, senile, blind, or have the low IQ of a kindergartner or a toddler. I go out yesterday, have a little fun, and try to get rid of pain and sorrow, and I gotta get nailed with this kind of a non-sula basura.
Hey, Beast, how was your date yesterday? Big Country wants to know.
In the words of Steve Austin, let's cut out through all the BS.
How was the date? Barbarossa wants to know.
I know for a fact I ain't playing that shit anymore.
Big Country wants to know, are you putting batteries in your scale that Gator sent you?
How about you kiss my big ass? Just because I go, I'm enjoying my life right now, rebuilding.
JoJo says, Beast, we need transparency.
How about we show some companionship, number one?
Sham says, cut to the BS and answer.
Yeah. You know what? Right here.
Phantom Green and White says, you can't do a man push-up.
Blow out your left nostril.
What about his right nostril? No? Beast, where'd you go?
I'm gonna fix something here. fat this, fat that. You know what? You're all effing wrong because you're all blind, senile, and stupid. You're all a bunch of low IQ, nothing happening, bunch of toilet bowl blowhards.
Hey, Beast, have you thought about doing the truffle shuffle? Italian Stallions requesting it.
You're not. I'm trying to get back on life here and try to rebuild. And Indy Jets,
I thought you were retired.
I am retired. Yeah, it's just, there's a saying that Jack Lemmon once said. You know what? What's wrong with y'all? You know what? You are so butt blind. It's basically pathetic that you guys have no.
What does butt blind mean? That's an interesting term I'm not familiar with. Butt blind. That's a new one.
Get your eyes fixed. Go see a doctor. Get some legal professional help. You know where the nearest help is. See a psychiatrist. And I'm going to make this loud. I'm going to make it clear for all you, someone half-wit, butt-plugging.
Mike wants to know, do the brooms at Hogwarts have a weight limit?
You know what? Mike Debs, you can kiss Hogwarts and shove it up your ass. You want extreme? You're gonna get extreme. Get ready for the ride because, bitch, I'm gonna tell you this right here. I'm a man's man and I'm built for this shit. Suck
Big
it up.
Country wants to know, did Alan show you what he could do with his finger?
Hey, Big Country, did Alan finger your asshole this?
Rich wants to know why you're so angry.
Why am I so angry? Oh, you wish you had my life, but unfortunately, I don't think you want it. You don't know what it's like. And I'm gonna address it loud and clear. First 3 games, all 3 wins.
Okay,
Steelers,
we're back to the Jets now. Got it.
Steelers, we're gonna beat the shit out of Rodgers. We're gonna give him a spine buster, and one more thing, we're gonna give him. Come here. That's what you call a power slam right there. That's a power slam.
One more time. We need it again.
That's a power slam.
One more time.
And one more. Power slam.
Yeah.
That's 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Now you gotta see what comes next. That's a see you later, DDT. That's a DDT, folks. You know what the DDT is? Jake the Snake invented it. Not Arn Anderson. Jake the Snake
That was an enthralling call from Beast. Kyle Clifton in the raffle for 2. My little girl has a play tonight. She's playing an alien chorus girl. Wish little Miss Clifton the best, chat. She's worked hard. Can't wait for the show. In for the raffle. Kyle Clifton, good luck to little Miss Clifton in the show later. We're all rooting for her. Love that. Phantom, Green and White. I already read that one. Read that one from Big Country. I think we're caught up on Super Chats. Fantastic. Let's say hello right now to a man who typically when he calls in, he often chooses to not wear any clothes. He prefers to operate in the nude. Ladies and gentlemen, Charleston Jets Rube is next.
When there's a feller they call Charleston Jets Rube.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
He calls the show nude, never wears a shirt. And
am I
some
here?
Folks, they don't think he's got pants on either. It's a gosh darn
Your intro's playing, Charleston.
Oh, I can't see it.
Charleston Jets Rube. And see
For some reason, it's not playing my intro on my screen.
Well, it just finished, so you're good.
Okay. All right. Had to get dude real quick for you, but
we appreciate it.
Just real quick, I don't have much time, but mainly I was calling in for some information on you. I never saw in any shows that you gave any kind of update on your multiple lovely lady date, I believe
Oh,
last Thursday, like a week
yeah.
and a day ago. And then I remember I also requested a potential sharing of a picture. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I'm going to go ahead and get off and let you discuss that. Thank you.
Mr. Rube, thank you. I don't have a picture for you, and the Robert Downey Iron Man style date, I mean, as good as it could go. Definitely better than Beast's date yesterday with that dude. Or whatever happened. He still won't tell us. It's very unclear what was happening with Beast. John says, do we still have a Copper John's discount? John, I appreciate you thinking about that and trying to support a sponsor. Copper John's, they're not currently with us right now, but I still have a great relationship with Tyson. He's a big Jet fan, watches the show. You could try the promo code, which I'm trying to look up for you. I want to give you the right one. It might still be active. I don't know. If you try Jake 20, you should get 20% off, though. I'm happy to support a business, even though they're not advertising with us right now because Tyson's a good person. So try that. Let's see. Mike says, I need a relationship as strong as that bed frame. Hey, Beast, who's the maker of your bed?
My maker? Mattress Firm.
They do a great job. Maybe they want to sponsor the show for the Beast Breaker Pile Slam segment.
Well, let's see what happens. Those three. Now, that DDT, that was taught by the great Jake the Snake Roberts. Just remember these words. Come here. Come on closer. Come on closer. As he once said, come right out of this tree. Come on. Come right out of this tree. See if old Damien doesn't come out and play. Trust me. Trust me. Come on. That's how you shoot a promo. Now, if you want another promo, I'll give you a better one.
How about a Garrett Wilson catch?
Oh yeah.
How about a Garrett Wilson catch?
How about we take a dive?
How about Justin Fields diving over the pylon for a touchdown week 1?
For a three-yarder?
Yeah, move your mic that's not even plugged in, though. We don't need it. Jack says, a lot of words of wisdom from the greatest wizard of all time.
A man who's got balls, prepare to fly. Defensive air, offensive air.
All right, I guess he's not going to move the mic, people, so here we go. Can't even see him. That's how Drew Brees felt in the pocket.
Wait for it. Now we're going to go for a near bust.
By the way, no one's on hold right now. This is why we're getting Beast. So you want the show to continue? Someone call in.
Blue 23. Blue 23. Get ready, 3, 2, 10. Touchdown! Ha!
Yeah, so, I mean, how do I feel about the Jets? Yeah, I'm hearing that they have new uniforms.
They're wearing purple this year.
Yeah, I know. Why is that? It's like Grimace. It always, what it reminds me of? The Grimace. How was your day today?
You don't have any comments on the Jets wearing purple, Lane?
It's like a fashion style, actually.
Lane, thank you. Tom A says, Jake, can you script out about 15 plays for Beast to run? Beast might be out of breath. You done there, Beast? You done? Exhausted? Not paying attention? I think he's watching through YouTube, so he's on delay, maybe? I don't know. Beast, did you sit on little Joey? Is he alive? Pat Rich wants to know. Beast?
I'm trying to watch Bill Parcells right now.
Well, we're on the air, Beast.
I was
Your mic's not
watching
even
Bill
plugged in. You don't need to hold it.
I was watching Bill Parcells' I'm Scared of Spiders, Snakes, and the IRS. Did you ever see that one? It's a 20-minute promo.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where
I'm actually watching it right now.
Yeah. Hey, the best line he ever said was, "Yeah, we got a bunch. Yeah, we got 100 ball boys. Yeah, our ball boys throw way better than our players do. Yeah, but we don't got no ball boys now. No ball boys here. We got actual players. We got real players now. Real players that want to play. Let's see who's gonna get their ass whipped next. Tampa Bay don't look like they got a team now. They don't got it. I just had chicken. Chicken.
We covered a lot of ground with that one. All right. Thankfully, somebody else actually called into the show.
It seems that we.
Psych, I'm just messing with you. It's not Beast. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Gustbuster Umbrella Hotline is...
Purple about Mike. He loves the Dark Knight. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that purple belt Mike. Purple belt Mike. It might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Yo, what's poppin'?
Your mic sounds a little better. You don't sound as nasally.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem was because it worked fine even on my stream last night.
Jizzing with Mike? How'd it go?
Yeah, it was good. I only did 10 minutes because
that's how long it should be usually. Anything after that, like I'm not Superman, you know?
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. I'm working on like an exercise video, so
even better.
That's gonna be that one's gonna be 5 minutes, so a little rushed.
We've all been there.
Yep. Anyone that says no is lying.
Yep, 100%.
I wanted to ask Beast. Is Beast still on?
Is water wet?
Beast.
How
much money would it take for you to actually use the scale? Because you can get some real money from the community.
I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm not gonna talk about this El Basura Cabrones way. You know, I just.
But you can get money. It'll be easy money for you. All you gotta do is step on it.
I don't do anything for money. I'm sorry, I don't do sex for money. I don't do stupid shit for money.
Well, no one's asking for prostitution, but
I think they're just asking you to step on a scale.
That's not my type.
The scale was purchased.
Would $100 get you on the scale? Would $100 get you on the scale?
Yeah, and you know who I'm Dick Clark. How you like that?
Thank you for that one, Beast. Gator says, PBM got to work on your presentation. Your clothes rack needs to go. Also, you make up about 10% of the frame. Camera needs to be closer.
Thanks, Gator. We're in a makeshift office closet.
Is this where you did the Jizzin' with Mike show? This angle right here?
Well, I can't really go up the steps.
Well, you got to fix your camera. I mean, your name is covering your face.
My name is covering my face?
Yeah, on the StreamYard, PBM, it's like, look at your name tag. I'm trying to make a tighter shot to make you look better, and I'm doing my best here, but it's not easy work. That's much better. Now you look like a pro.
I was, I guess the angle or whatever wasn't right. But look, I'm new to all this shit. You know what I mean? But
I know.
I appreciate the what do you call it? The feedback. Look, constructive criticism is what everything is based on. If everything was sunshine and rainbows, I'd be lying to you. So I appreciate that. But let's see how much money it'll take to get Beast on the scale.
He's not going to do it. I don't think there's a number.
Well, that's unfortunate. Easy money for him. We got. How much money do you think we gave to Charles to shave?
Beast, is there a number that could get you on the scale?
What's the number to get you on the scale? Easy money. You're retired. A little bit of income.
He doesn't even know he's on the air right now.
No.
Beast. One day he'll realize he's on the air. He's actually like
I'm trying to do a little bit of typing here and also a little bit of teching.
Well, you're on the air. You could just address the chat. You don't need to type and write. My powers are unforgiving and relentless by submission and designed by solid steel. You're on the show.
Yes, that is true. That is true, by the way, because I'm the only guy who can go the distance. Let's see.
There's
historian. Yes, I do.
Jake, there's a super chat. Someone wants some help here.
PBM help. White belt John had a rib injury 4 weeks ago, and it still hurts for pull motions. Tips.
All right, so John, what kind of rib injury did you have? So I'm familiar with this. You have floating ribs, and if you pull the muscle, you can dislocate the rib. That's what happens when you pull the muscle with the floating ribs. And my ribs hurt for about 6 weeks. So if your injury is a dislocated rib and it's in the floating ribs, it's going to take 6 weeks for it to actually heal. But ribs are something, unless you have real trauma where like they're shattered or whatever, that you need surgery, they just heal on their own. But if you have like fracture or like light bruising or whatever, that's going to heal on its own. It just takes some time, and ribs hurt really, really bad. I'm assuming you got it from some type of pulling motion. Either you were fighting a armbar or you were trying to go for some type of pull around the back, and something like that is what I'm assuming without knowing whatever.
John, are you on the
Oh, yeah.
Discord? Message Mike there if you have questions. Injury talk might be almost as bad as watching Beast do whatever he was doing.
Wow. Wow.
The
What a
audacity,
day.
the
What a
audacity of
day.
someone to write.
I can
thought
go
this
out
was
and
a
smell
Jet
the
show.
air right now, and you know what? I'm in a good mood for something today.
Hey, shut up, Beast. I'm talking here. I thought this was a Jet show. Yeah, Carly, it was. Look. Any other thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Jet show for, 20, 30 minutes, and then
It actually will be a Jet show a lot beginning next week, which I'm excited about.
Yep. Oh, yesterday, I wanted to say this. I wore my Jake Asman polo.
Did you?
At work. Yeah.
And
I was repping you at work.
Oh, okay. I thought there was you made it sound like, hey, I wore this polo at work and then this happened. You didn't sell it as like that was just a statement.
Well, yeah, I kind of work in an office kind of by myself-ish. So people that interact with me saw it, but I don't like.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I wore your shirt. Actually, never mind. Ignore that comment.
I've worn your shirt twice on this show. Oh, shit. Wait.
Ignore that comment. I forgot I'm not allowed to talk about anything in that regard. Yes.
That's good.
Also,
you did say it on the radio once.
Did I? I don't remember. Speaking of which, I have a shitload of radio coming up locally, so I'm excited about that. I'm in for Michael K. Thursday and Friday next week. I'm on 7 to 9 Wednesday before that. I'm in for K the entire week, first week of August. I'm with Dave in the morning on the 12th and the 13th. So the company's getting a lot of me. Get ready.
So that Thursday, your first show, the 24th, is when I get operated on. Do you want me to call in?
Yeah, call in from the operating room. That actually will be fun radio.
I'm not going to do that. But
all right, or don't. Jeez, I mean, I'm trying to do entertaining radio around here.
Well, I'm going to be under anesthesia, and it's only 1 hour.
That's good. Anesthesia will make your call fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We'll see what happens with the nerve block. I've never had a nerve block before. At least I don't think I've had.
A quick PSA. I am putting together the names for the Bart Scott raffle because we'll end the show a little earlier. We're going to be back in the afternoon. So if you want in on this is truly your last chance because as Mike is talking here, I am typing up names into the Wheel of Champions.
How is Bart Scott outside of the radio?
Bart's been great to me. He's just impossible to get on the show because of the time he's on. You know, like his show now is at 10. And then when he gets done with the show, he's typically not available. And he's just the worst texter ever. So I've had Bart on the radio before as a guest. I don't think he's ever been on the YouTube show yet, though.
We got to get him on the YouTube show.
I'm trying. It's just he's a tough guy to get a hold of.
Yeah. All right, brother. I'll catch you.
PBM, thank you for the time. Before we get out of here, let's share a quick update. And it's an unfortunate one, but I want this community to come together because I believe that this guy's heart and his intent is in the right spot. So we've been following for a while now the saga of Charles Gorman and Bobby Midnight and their quest to get off Mount Unemployment and get a job. In fact, people were taking bets which Asmaniac will get a job first, either Charles or Bobby. And Bobby came on the show a couple of days ago and said that he got a job at Wendy's and Wendy's was going to send him what exactly his job would be the following day. Well, it turns out, apparently something happened with the Wendy's opportunity where that job no longer exists. Now, Bobby, in my conversation with him, he told me, and he told others as well, that essentially what happened here was the person who promised him the job called him and said they now have too many employers. So the job is not happening at Wendy's. However, Bobby does, because he's working hard to get a job, have an interview scheduled for tomorrow at the Works Cafe in Brattleboro. So Bobby is trying. Unfortunately, the Wendy's opportunity fell through, so Bobby remains on Mount Unemployment. But unlike Charles Gorman, seemingly, Bobby is applying himself. So there's another interview tomorrow. So I was a little weary when he said he had a job at Wendy's, but then I had to call him to tell him what the job was the next day. That's why I said pending the contract being signed. So there's no job at Wendy's. So Baconator Bobby is dead before it even truly began. Bobby's tenure at Wendy's will be remembered a lot like Anthony Barr's tenure with the Jets. It never actually happened. But we do believe positive steps are being made. As far as Gorman, I can't help you there. Gorman seems lost. Seems more lost than Adam Gase was at that introductory press conference. And when Charles Gorman is calling into this show and saying this with a straight face, it does feel like, if I was betting now, Bobby is the one to get a job first before Gorman.
People think I don't want to work, which is not true. I just had a bit of a nap not too long ago, too, so that didn't help.
Love it, dude.
You're talking about how people don't.
You can't say that people think you don't want a job and then say that you came off a real good nap. It's a hard 2 sentences to put together, Charles. It is. You got Jake off the camera.
How do you not see the irony of that, Charles? This is why Charles is the best of the best. I don't feel great about Bob's chances. I don't. Now, Beast is retired, right, Beast? So you don't think you belong on Mount Unemployment, correct?
That's right. You could cut that off. Cut it.
Right. I think the chat vehemently disagrees. But hey, it is what it is. Anthony Lagariato at the literal buzzer. I have the wheel open with all the names added. He says, I'm in, Jake. You're in for 5. Let's go, Anthony. I'm literally typing your name 5 times here before we do this raffle. Love it. Shout out to Anthony. I saw he bought a ticket yesterday to our T-Squared event for the Jets-Giants watch party on the 16th. So that's awesome. Love that. All right. I'm almost ready here. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Speaking of T-Squared, this video is going to play, and the raffle's happening right after it's our first watch party of the year, the Jets and the Giants. We're headed back to T-Squared Social, August 16th. It is a 7 p.m. kickoff. 6:30, the party will start. Tickets are just $18. It includes 1 Friday beer, 1 green tea shot, and a raffle ticket. We'll do a Jets merch and Jets ticket raffle at halftime of the game. When you get a ticket, you get 5 tickets in our weekly raffle whenever you do it. So lock in your spot. The more people that buy tickets, the more revenue we have to make the raffle at halftime as epic as possible. August 16th. Let's go, baby. Jets, Giants. Jets backups versus Jackson Dart. What's better than that? Yeah, buddy. It's happening. I can't wait. You can't wait. There's T-Squared magic in the air. Year 2 of our relationship with T-Squared for Jets watch parties. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what you're waiting for. We all can't wait for a Bart Scott signed jersey raffle, so let's spin the wheel right now.
It's time to announce the winners of the weekly Asmaniac raffle. Let's spin the Jake Asman Show Wheel of Champions and find out which Asmaniac is winning an epic prize.
Someone is going to win an epic prize. A Bart Scott can't wait Jets jersey. Let's go. Hit the dramatic music. Only one can win. Ladies and gentlemen, good luck to everyone. Reminder, weekly raffle is Saturday. So if you don't win today, you're in for that. All your entries are added up throughout the week, and we go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the signed Bart Scott jersey is AD 83. Congratulations to AD. I believe he was actually the first person to gift during the show today. You know what's interesting? It just could be circumstance, or maybe it's positive karma. We've seen the person that gifts the first on a stream win a lot of times in the daily raffle. So I don't know. Maybe it's good Asmaniac karma, but 10:06 a.m., a minute into the show today, AD gifted 5, and he won the Bart Scott jersey because he had 5 tickets in. So congrats to AD. And I'll tell you what, we're going to have a big one this afternoon. That's all I'm going to say. It might be a signed jersey of a player who just signed a big contract this week. That's all I'm going to say. But get ready. I'm looking forward to that. All right, before we get out of here, I got to end the poll for the Azzies. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a fun show, a great award. All the nominees are certainly deserving of the award for the best takes that are delivered time in, time out on the show. But only one can win, and the winner is Kyle Clifton. He dominates the Best Takes Award on the show, 47%. Ricky New York in second place with 21. Nate, parentheses, Nate at 17% in third. Chef Kevin at 14%. So, ladies and gentlemen, props to the great Kyle Clifton. He certainly earned the Azzie Award. Now, this afternoon, we're doing the worst take, so that could get contentious. People might not like to be nominated for this one, but someone's going to win. And this afternoon, we'll find out if it's B-Mac, Frankie V, Gary, or JJ for the worst takes. The Azzie Awards will continue. All right, on that note, we are out of time. Jose with a super chat at the buzzer. That's what he gets for not meeting the call and blocking me for no reason. I don't know who this is in reference to. Maybe this is about Beast. I don't know. Either way, Jose, thanks for supporting the channel for as long as you have. I'm out of time. That does it. I have one message I'd like to deliver during my sign-off here. My message is join the Patreon, get in the Discord, and continue to make our community as special as it is. On that note, I'll talk to you guys soon. Jets, Jets, 4 p.m. Eastern. Robbie Sabo. He'll be late, probably closer to 4:15 or 4:30, but I'll talk to you guys then. Go Jets.
First, I gotta ask you about the shop first. Try to put in the password Patreon. It's not working.
The password's actually Chicken Soup 2024. Rick got it right.
It's not working.
Make sure you put all caps for Chicken Soup 2024.
I did put it in all caps.
It's actually all lowercase then.
It's not working, Jake. I don't know what the hell it is.
My merch person just told me they changed the password again. Let me get it for you.
Oh, okay.
Ask her for the soup recipe.
She's not in the mood right now. She's talking to my dad.
By the way, the password is Dennis Gorman if you want to try that.
Is it all caps lock?
It's Dennis is all caps, Gorman is all lowercase.
It's not working.
Hey, I just got off the phone with my merch guy. It's Chicken Soup for Life. Try that, all caps.
It's not working either.
Are you serious? I'm going to have to fire this guy.
Chicken is spelled bleh.
How do you spell bleh? I think you're typing too fast.
Say, please try again.
This is unbelievable. All right, well, message me on the Discord later, and I'll get you in there when I figure this out. Charles, try one more password if you can. All caps, I want, WANT, chicken soup.
So please try again.
God damn. I'm sorry, man.
Don't worry about it, Jake. You know what? I'll probably come on another time, okay? Don't worry about it.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.